Time to talk numbers. A big part of goal setting is setting the numbers and getting them right so that you can plan accordingly. Anthony Lamacchia here with Crush It in Real Estate. Now, I'm not going to do what 99% of realtors and people do in all professions, which is start at the end. Most people, they start with, I'm going to sell X homes next year. Okay, that's not a bad goal to have, but that shouldn't be where you should start. What you should evaluate really is looking at how many leads. Of the leads, how many do you actually meet with? Of the ones you meet with, how many do you actually sign up? Of the ones you sign up, how many do you actually sell? So what I'm going to do is show you a spreadsheet that we have. It's an Excel sheet that we use, and I'm going to walk you through this process. I'm going to start at the point of appointment. If I go through leads, appointment, and so on, it just gets too long. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to walk you through from the point of appointment. How many of those do you take? Meaning, how many listings do you sign up of the amount of listing appointments that you have? How many buyers do you sign up from the amount of buyers that you have? Now, if you remember right, in the beginning of this series, and just so you all know, just a reminder, this entire series on goal setting is on our Crush It in Real Estate YouTube page. So you may be watching it here now, or you may be watching it on Facebook, but that's just a reminder. So back to what I was saying. What I want to do is I want to plug those numbers in. So what I want to do is I want to show you the spreadsheet back here. And this spreadsheet's pretty darn simple. It talks about, how many appointments, what's your conversion rate of appointments, and then what's your conversion rate of how many that you're selling. I'm going to walk you through this, and we're going to take those factors into account, and I'm going to show you how you can make edits to the numbers and how the rest of the numbers change. Okay? Now, if you want this spreadsheet, you need to comment below. You need to comment here if you're watching on Facebook and put your email, and we will send this Excel sheet to you. I wanted to mention that now. If you're watching it on YouTube, you could comment below if you'd like. If you don't want to comment there, then go on the Crush It in Real Estate website, send us an email, go onto the Crush It in Real Estate Facebook page, send us a message, comment there. You'll find us if you really want the sheet. I'm sure of that. So let's take a look here. I want to show you how this works. Okay, here we go, my friends. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at right here, A through E columns, because I want you to focus on actuals. When you know your actuals, it makes it dramatically easier for you to focus on what your goals are in the future, what your projections are. So let's start with average sale price. What was your average sale price? Whatever it was, plug it in, okay? Your average sale price for buyers, for sellers, plug that in right there, and it will begin to form, and do all the math for you. Now let's keep going. Listing appointments, did you have 10? You can see that's what I wrote in. If you had 8, watch what happens. Numbers change. See that? So what I want you to do is, again, you're staying focused on your actuals. I'm going to stick with 10 to keep the numbers round. How many of the listings did you sign up? Did you sign up 7? Well, that would mean you had a 70% conversion rate. So plug in whatever your conversion rate is, and it should go to what you actually signed up. Then take it further. Of those listings that you took, how many did you actually sell? Did you sell every one of them? Well, if you did, then you could change this to 100%. And look, it would be 7 for 7. Now that doesn't usually happen, but this year inventory was so low it may have. However, if you listed a lot of homes, that was probably unlikely to happen because for one reason or another, sellers don't sell sometimes. But let's keep going. Average sale price for 100, as I mentioned, that would have given you an average. That would have given you a total seller volume sold of 2.8 million. Now, if I jump down to commissions, what was your average commission? I just want to say when I talk about commissions in this video, I am only putting in a rough amount. I am not saying that this is what the commission should be. I'm not saying that this is what the average is. I'm not in any way implying that this is a standard because there is no standard. Commissions are negotiable between buyers, sellers, and realtors. They work that out on their own, okay? In this case, we're talking about sellers. So sellers are free to work that out with their realtor. Realtors are free to set it where they want. So if your average commission for this year was 2.50, plug it in. If it was 3, plug it in. If it was 2, plug it in. If it was 1, if it was 5, I don't care what it was, plug in whatever it was, and you will see that the revenue comes in line with what you probably actually had. Now keep going. What is your commission split from your company? Let's say it's 70%. Commission splits from companies, for some companies those are negotiable, for some they aren't, but whatever yours is, it is. You plug that amount in and it'll tell you how much commission you got. Same exercise right here for buyers, okay? If we go through, it is 30 buyer appointments. Of the 30, how many did you convert into clients? 60%. Well, that would have been that would mean that you worked with about 18 serious buyers this year. Of the 18 serious buyers, how many did you sell homes to? So whatever your conversion was on how many serious buyers you obtained, that'll tell you the number for how many you had. And remember, you can adjust. If you think back to yourself, well, hold on, I didn't have 18 out of 30. I had about 15. Okay, just change the conversion percentage. Play around with it. Okay, I went to 55%. Notice what happened. It went to 16.5. If that's not enough, go to 54%. Go to, do you follow what I'm doing here? Go to 53%. Go to 52%. Just to get yourself lined up with 15 or 51.5. You can see now I'm at 15.6 buyers, 51.5. So that's how you can work it down, and the same goes for conversion. Of those serious buyers, how many did you actually sell? In your head, if you're like, well, I think I sold about 7 buyers, okay, you're going to see I'm going to make an adjustment to the cell as I'm talking to you because I want it to be 1 decimal and not 2. But that's how you can whittle it down to the right numbers. If your average sale price for buyer transactions, let's say your buyer sales had a lower average sale price, plug it in. And if you keep working your way through, you will be able to figure out as you work your way down. Again, you go through commission. Maybe in your market or whatever you work out with your buyers, whatever you negotiate with your buyers, your average commission for buyers, let's say, is 3%. Your commission with your company is 80%, just say. That's how you'll come up with the 64. If I was to change the 80 over here, whatever it may be, and you can see that you add up the total income for sellers, add up the total income for buyers, you come up with $120,000 after giving up the split to your company. Let's say you had $8,000 in expenses this year, your net income should be about $112,000. Does that sound about right? If these numbers sound, you've got to get yourself to the point that you say, okay, this is about right. This is about what happened to me this year. This is about how my year went. Once you get to that point, that's very exciting because now you can go over here in columns G through K and you can work on your projections. You can work on your goals. You can see we wrote goals here. And you go through the same exercise. You should be dialing the phone. You should be working by referral, getting in touch with people, utilizing social media. If you're on our training, then you will be hopefully doing those things, even if you're someone who isn't on our training, but you're just watching our Crush It in Real Estate videos on YouTube and on Facebook. If you do half of what I suggest in all these videos, you should very easily be able to go from 10 listing appointments to 15. If your conversion rate last year, or this year, I guess I could say as of right now, was 70, well, I would hope you can get that listing appointment conversion up, let's say to 80. If you're doing the things that we preach and that I preach right here on this public forum about sending something in advance of a listing appointment to warm up the seller, sending out an email to confirm the listing appointment, sending out a calendar invite, sending new properties in the area that are coming up for sale between when you book the listing appointment and you go there. Okay, these are little training tips I'm giving you as I'm going over this video. If you're doing all those things, you will undoubtedly raise your conversion rate. So let's say you do 15 listing appointments and you convert 80%. Well, that's 12 listings taken, right? Seller listings taken. Let's say you sell 85% of them. Now, the reason I went with 85 here, remember when we started over here for last year, it was at 80, and we said, well, maybe you were someone that sold 100. I would not bank on selling 100% of your listings. That is very unusual. If you're listening and you're watching and you're saying, well, I did, okay, well, you probably only listed 3 or 4 homes. Once you get into listing lots of homes, things come up, sellers' plans change, and sales fall through. So and listings fall through. I would be realistic. Go with an 85%. Well, that's about 10.2 sellers sold. Don't get caught up on the decimal points, but it shows you an average. It can tell you you're going to be somewhere between 10 listings sold and 11. I would also bank on your average listing price being higher, particularly if you're listing single-family homes. And then again, we get down to commission. That's negotiable between you and your seller. I'm not implying that this should be the amount, but let's say that you tend to get a 2.5% commission on your listings. Great. Well, that's $108,000 in listing revenue from sellers. Look how much that's up from the 56 over here. If your commission split, hopefully your commission split is going to go up because of your increased business. Hopefully, don't know what, if you're at a company that does it by negotiation or does it by whatever it says on its split ladder or whatever they call it. But let's say it's 80%. Now you have $86,000 in income from sellers. That's almost double. You go over to buyers. Well, if you had 30 buyer appointments from 10 listings, I would sure hope you'd have at least 40 from 15 listings. I actually think 40 is too low. I'm going to change this to 45, and look what happens to the numbers, okay? Let's say you convert 70% of your buyer appointments as opposed to 52. If you're talking to buyers about what they want, remember what I talk about in all these videos on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. Buyers want a large selection. Buyers want a good deal. They want it to be easy. If you're talking to them about those things, talking to them about an incoming inventory that you have, inventory before it's listed, well, not hopefully, your conversion rate will go up, okay? Now think about it. You go here, if your conversion is 70% instead of 52 this year, now you're dealing with 31 serious buyers as opposed to 15. If your conversion rate on getting those buyers into a home is higher, I will tell you I think it will be. And notice I put the average sale price on the buyer sides up to $400. Again, commission, whatever your commission is. I had said over here your buyer commission was 3. Let's say it's 3 in 2021. Not sure what'll happen. Market forces affect that. Negotiation between buyers and sellers, buyers and realtors affect that, but whatever. Let's say it's 3%. Now you come down here and let's say your split is up to the 80. Look at the difference in your income. I'm talking about a substantial difference. Your net income, notice I increased expenses because I'm sure if you're doing well and you want to grow your business, you're investing in your business and spending more money to do that, right? Think big, reach for things, and if you go through these numbers and if you're realistic, and remember what I talked about all the time, what are you going to change? If we go down this line, what are you going to do to change your conversion rate on obtaining the client? What are you going to do to change your conversion rate on sales? Now you look at average sale prices. Again, what are you doing to change your incomes? Are you marketing yourself to higher end listings? What are you doing? When you focus on making things happen, you will see an increase in your business. This is literally a roadmap on how you can get yourself from this kind of income to that kind of income. Plug in your actuals, right? You can plug them in right here on the left side, plug in your projecteds here on the right side, and then you'll be able to look at each. By the time you get this spreadsheet, we're going to map that all out for you and make it easy for you. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, comment below, put your email address in, and we will email you this spreadsheet at some point in the next few days. And if you're watching on YouTube, you could comment with your email below. You could go on our Crush It in RE website and put it in your, email us from there. You could go on to Facebook and send it to us, but if you want the spreadsheet, I'm sure you'll find us. That concludes our goal setting segment on the numbers. We are going to have another video talking about how to raise the probability of achieving your goals. That's going to be the next video, and I'll see you at some point in the next few days. Thanks, guys.